Good morning. I love it when Kyla drops a drumstick because you don't even notice. She's so adaptable that she has a slight smile on her face, but then grabs it seamlessly and you don't even notice. It's one of the best parts of my morning when that happens. I love it. Good Good morning and welcome to Friends Church. My name is Kelty. This is the part of our service where we typically do charitable giving, and that is the opportunity for you to support the church financially. There's lots of ways that you can do that through our app. We have some envelopes at the back of the church that you can fill out. And if you're having an employer like I do who matches charitable donations, I want to remind you to check in on that as we get close to the end of the year. This is one of the last chances you'd have to take advantage of that for this tax year. Also today, I wanted to remind you that we have our Christmas Eve service coming up. So there will be two services, one at 4 and one at 6, that we will do live. You must register. We still have a few spots available, so if people are interested in being here live, we've still got some room, so please go on the website and there'll be a spot for you to register. If being here live isn't for you, no problem. Just tune into one of those and we'll be streaming them both at home. Speaking of adaptable, the other thing I wanted to do today was talk a little bit about our staff offering. So typically at this time of year, we look back and we take a look at the value that the staff has given to us personally. And we do a special offering in recognition of that. And if this year, if they have been anything other than adaptable, I don't know what it is. You know, come March, all of a sudden, things were happening. The student program that typically goes to Mexico was canceled, was postponed. There was a lot of flurry around thinking about making sure that we as an organization would be able to withstand financially this year that we knew would be very hard on our congregation and on our membership. And so looking for ways to reach out early and often to make sure that we shored that up. Then all of a sudden, we were all sent home, and within a moment's notice, it was all online. And you could appreciate this service through online, through the great grace of our volunteers as well. And then as the summer went through, figuring out ways to reach out and connect. And whether that was with an email, seeing you on the street, just having a phone call, finding those opportunities. As kids' activities started to happen again, Carmen and Tara both were able to figure out how to adapt. Do fun things for teens without having them get too close together. I mean, right now they're in the other room doing their typical Christmas gift exchange using some sort of long pole to pass the presents back and forth. Tara figured out, she was brand new here, and figured out not only onboarding into the Friends Church way, but how to do a program for young kids that made it easier for their parents to enjoy this on Sunday mornings. And then behind the scenes, we have Yvette, who's working hard as our bookkeeper. And she's not just putting numbers onto a spreadsheet and sending those. She's making sure she's looking out for pitfalls for us every day and giving us advance warning of that. So if that was meaningful for you this year, and if you have a little extra in your pocket, I would love for you to take advantage of the staff offering to thank Jeff and Vince and Carmen and Tara and Yvette for the amazing year that we have had because of them. The last thing I wanted to talk about quickly, and it's just to introduce it, is you've probably been wondering how our hamper program worked. I mean, Jeff's been here the last couple of weeks making sure that we have enough to help those families, and he's going to tell you himself right now.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Look, sorry I can't join you in person this morning. The coronavirus has kind of swung close to our family, so we're awaiting results. In the meantime, we're all locked down and really hopeful that everything comes back negative. But anyways, we dropped off all the hampers on Friday, and it was a pretty meaningful experience to be able to leave all those goods, knowing that those families who are in some tough times are going to be able to get a little cheering up this Christmas. But I feel like I was in a very special spot over the last 4 weeks or so, being able to have so many conversations with many of you who heard our request for help and responded. I had conversations with I remember one woman who had so little. In fact, when she came and told me that she wanted to get involved, down deep, I was almost thinking, you know what, how about we help you this Christmas? But she didn't. She carved out a little cash and she put it toward this project. I've also had conversations with some of you who have more than most, and the way that you guys stepped up and said, look, I know some people can't give, so let me give for them. We've watched so many of you get so heroically involved over the last number of weeks to make this all possible. From you shoppers who went out and shopped like crazy in these malls and to pull out stuff on behalf of others. Some of you sewed. Thinking of one woman who handmade 100 safety masks for these families to wear. I'm thinking about the wrappers. One of Carly, our pregnant members, she's 8.5 months pregnant, came in after a shift of work to work one evening wrapping gifts. Karen spent a whole afternoon with her newborn wrapping gifts at the church. There have been so many incredible efforts by so many of you. Leslie took home a vehicle that was so packed with unwrapped gifts and wrapped the whole weekend. I could go on and on about all the different people and the different ways that you guys made that whole thing possible, but I just want to tell you how proud we are as leaders of a community that responds to need and gives of their own so sacrificially and generously. So anyways, on behalf of our staff team, our leadership team, our board, on behalf of all those families that were helped, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you. You're making Christmas a real thing for so many. Thanks.
$20 hampers, food, gifts for families who are developmentally delayed. These are parents who cannot earn money. They're all on long-term disability. Sometimes their kids are developmentally delayed as well. Sometimes they're not. But these families are the poorest of the poor, and there's nothing they can do about it. So the hampers that you built, you are doing an incredible thing. So I just want to say thank you. Okay, Christmas is a time where we give and we give and we give, right? For those of you who've given to the core of you, to the hampers, I want you to just tune me out right now, okay? So just ignore me. Nothing to see here. Go on your phone, check your email, whatever you need to do. I got a call a couple days ago. Vonda, who runs our Friends Helping Friends program, which is how we connect people with needs. She calls me and she says, hey, Vince, did you hear? The Calgary Firefighters Association has canceled their toy drive this year. And I'm in the middle of writing messages and other stuff, and I'm kind of like, Vonda, what does this mean? She says 4,000 kids aren't getting gifts this Christmas. 4,000 of the poorest of the poor kids in Calgary. Their families don't have enough money. They can't just be like, oh, we're not getting toys there? No big deal. We'll just buy some toys on the side. No, their families don't have the capacity. All the social agencies in the city, the poorest of the poor, they sign up for one program, and 4,000 of them sign up for this. And Vonda, who's got a heart as big as a house, said, Vince, we can't. Like, this can't happen. I said, Vonda, like, we just did hampers. We just, like, holy crap, Vonda, what's going on? She's like, can we just see? Because of FOIP, we couldn't get access to the names of those kids. It's a privacy issue. Makes sense, right? Vonda spent, I don't know how many days calling everyone. She found out that there's one organization in the city that has 680 names of those kids. They're all based in the Northeast. Almost all of them are immigrant families. And they're all just dirt poor. She said, if I can get names, if we could get gifts, can we just give people the opportunity? If that's something that they want to do, could we give them the opportunity? I said, yeah. Friend Church is about inspiring people to make the world a better place. And I don't know about you, but kind of in my brain, I have an amount I can give. So if you're fundraising for your dog, I'm going to give you about this much money. Just FYI, you're going to get money from me. It's about this much. If it's for people, you get this much. If it's for cancer, you get a whole lot. If it's for kids, I have a different kind of chunk in my head. So, if you've given and that's done for you, thank you. I don't want any pressure on anyone. But if the idea of kids waking up on Christmas Day and not having gifts, if that's problematic to you, I just want to invite you to be a part of this. We worked with a local organization that's going to donate gifts to us for an extremely good price. We have a whole delivery service, so we don't have to do it. You literally just have to go in and give some money, $5. We figure it's going to be about $7,000. We already got a good chunk of it raised. So, again, if that's something that you want to be a part of, on top of everything else, I just want to give you the opportunity with zero pressure. You can go online, friendschurch.ca/toys, or go into our app, go to Local Water Fund, and we'll make it happen. Again, thank you for your generosity. Thank you for making the world around you better in all the different ways that you do it. You know, we are blessed by a whole ton of volunteers who make this happen. Isn't that incredible? I just want to, just one more time, everyone a round of applause for them. The band, the tech crew, the people who made sure that we are contact tracing and doing all that safely, all of y'all. So thank you. Someone sent me a meme just the other day. Can you throw the picture up for me? They said, remember, we used to think that going to a birthday party and having a kid blow on a cake to blow out candles, and then we ate it. We thought that was a good idea. Just back up for a second. Before even COVID, was that ever a good idea? Really kind of gross, isn't it? I was outside dirt biking yesterday. So one of the rules, we can be outside in groups of 10. So there's a group of us dirt biking. It was windier than windy, so there's no chance. And I'm sitting kind of from about me to maybe Carly away from everyone else. And we're all scattered over this hillside, 20 feet between us. And I was thinking, when are we going to actually be able to sit close to each other again so we can hear each other? What do you miss about this time? What's kind of from our past, what do you miss? What's the thing that's the biggest source of angst for you? I was talking with someone, she said, just people being around. Yeah, totally. For me, it's seeing everyone as dangerous, or maybe me as dangerous to everyone else. I tell you guys when I'm running, I'm dodging into people's yards to get around people and into streets and trying to dodge cars. I feel like that old school way of walking through everyone's unclean and we're all just don't come near me. I'm probably an asymptomatic carrier. And don't come near me because you probably are one too. Especially now as we come into Christmas. What are you missing? Family? Friends? I'm not much of a party person, but I'm even missing the Christmas parties this year. There's something about getting together and having the energy and seeing people you love. It's kind of a really brutal time. And that's why we built this series called Navigating COVID Christmas, because we thought there was two things. First, probably there's ways to navigate this well. Jeff talked last week about suffering being optional. We don't have to suffer. There's ways we can change things so that we're not suffering. The week before, I talked about hope. So there's ways to navigate this, but today I want to talk about something, kind of the final piece of this puzzle. And to do that, I've been telling you guys all along that we're not the first people to have gone through something like this. Our second phase lockdown, I talk about the first readers of the Christmas story were in their own second phase lockdown. So I geek out about history, so bear with me. But anyways, these people, 70 years after the Christmas story is written, is set. So it's set about 0. 7 years later is when it's written to a group of people who've been oppressed. So they had another empire take over their country and basically let them walk around but they controlled everything. They took over the government, they took over the military, they took over the police force. These people were basically slaves. And then after a failed rebellion in about 70, they got locked down even harder. Now, no religion. So they're in this place where they're not free to move around, they're not free to do what they want, they can be killed at any time, and now they can't even engage in something that would be calming to them. It was all based in the temple's been destroyed. And so in this brutal second phase lockdown, and so when I read the story of Christmas, I think of the first readers and I think, hey, they're just like us. Trying to navigate this time of, what do we miss? Now, they miss something a little bit different than us. I'm missing, hugging people. I'm missing spending time with people I love. They missed even more. But what they're missing, or the thing that they're looking for in their lives, we're looking for a vaccine to get us back to normal. They're looking for somebody to lead them in a revolt. That's what they're looking for. They're like, can we just please get back to normal again? So the thing that I want you to pay attention to is the Christmas story is written to those people in that context. In some senses, it's written to people like us who are trying to navigate this time, who are missing the people we love, the connection, the Christmas. And it's not written as history, it's written as an answer to the question of how do you navigate a phase 2 lockdown? So really it's written to exactly what we're going through here. And what they write is the most banana story you've ever heard. I know you're all thinking it's Christmas, whatever. It's not bananas, it's a Christmas story, right? But let me just walk you through it. And the framing I want to give you today is this. Think of yourself as about a 14-year-old person. You're not like Theotokos, Mother of God. You're just Joe Schmo on the street or Jane Schmo or whatever you're going to say. And I want you to hear the beginning of the Christmas story in a new way, okay? Can you throw up the beginning for me? One version starts this way. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, they didn't really have calendars back then, so you can't say June 24th. So what you do is you reference someone, right? So, 6 months of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel. The first time we meet Gabriel in the Bible story, he's got a big-ass sword, and he's kicking a bunch of people out of a garden. So don't think like pot-bellied cherub, think like big flaming angel with a big sword, scary. That's Gabriel, okay? So Gabriel, the big scary guy with a big sword, shows up at a village to Joseph and Mary. The guy who wrote this, the teachers and you are probably squirming because there's some pretty long run-on sentences here, but let me just jump past them. Upon entering, Gabriel greeted her. He says this, "Good morning, you're beautiful with God's beauty." Okay, so just set the stage. You're 14. Some random glowing thing shows up at your house with a big-ass sword, massive wings, and says, "You're hot." What do you do with that? I'm not even, the hot part's not even the thing. I'm just like, holy crap, there's somebody with a sword at my front door. I'd be freaking out. I wouldn't have opened the door. I'd look at the little peephole and be like, yeah, no, 911, instantly. Now remember, don't think in terms of the original story, think in terms of how you would be. Flaming angel shows up, says you're hot. Her answer is this. Can you show me the next one? She was thoroughly shaken, wondering what was behind a greeting like that. He called me hot. Am I okay with that? I don't think it's appropriate for him to say that to me. I asked my wife, I was like, hey, does that make sense? She's like, oh yeah. If a flaming angel showed up at my house and said I'm hot, I'd be like, dude, what's with that comment? I'm still stuck on the flaming angel part. The angel says, hey, it's all good, nothing to fear. God is a surprise for you. You'll become pregnant and give birth to a son and call his name Jesus. Now, we're all thinking baby Jesus, love the Christmas story, great, right? Let me translate this in a better way. You're going to have an unwed pregnancy and you'll be a social pariah for the next while. You good with that? Suddenly the story goes from this like lovely Christmas story to like, what in the world is going on here? Her answer is very pragmatic. But how? I've never slept with a man. There's a flaming angel in front of you. Can't it do anything it wants? Like, come on, people. Anyways, next story. The angel answered, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the highest will hover over you. Therefore, the child you bring to birth will be called the Holy Son of God. Her answer is, yes, I see it all now. You've never slept with anyone, and the holy thing will hover over you, and then somehow you're going to get pregnant, and she just thinks this is okay? Is anyone seeing how crazy this story is when you look at it through kind of a literal lens? You're 14, you open the door, a flaming angel says you're hot, you're going to get pregnant, you've never had sex, and you say, that sounds good. That makes sense to me now. How is it that she's not freaking out? Have you ever thought about this story? Again, we jump past all this. We don't even read this when we read the Christmas story because we're like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this. How is she not freaking out? And the answer to that question is actually the final answer we want to do to how do you navigate a COVID Christmas? Because the original writers, or the original readers of this story, are in the middle of the craziest time of their life, the biggest crisis they've experienced. They're in the worst phase 2 lockdown they've ever experienced. And some writer writes this story to them. Why? How is it that that story has anything to say about what we're dealing with right now? And to answer that question, I have to show you guys a scientific study. I know I can't do this without showing you a scientific study, but bear with me. I tried to figure out how to show you guys this, so I'm going to have to talk it through. There's no legal video of it, and I'm not allowed to bring like 9 people up on stage and have them dancing around in close quarters. So imagine, use your imaginations with me. There's four people standing on this side, dressed in white. There's 4 people standing on this side, dressed in black. This group has a basketball. This group has a basketball. Make sense, right? So what I'm going to have them do is I'm going to have them mix all around, and then they're going to pass the basketball between themselves. So the white team's going to pass it between themselves. The black team's going to pass it between themselves. And here's what you need to do in this study. I want you guys to count how many times the white team passes the ball between each other. They're all going to be mixing around. There's black people, there's balls flying everywhere, right? Craziness is going on. And so this is what they did. They created a video of this. They sat subjects in front of the video and said, okay, count. And so you can just see these people, like they're all like super into it. They're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? They finish the study, and the study person comes in and says, okay, how many times did the white team pass the ball between themselves? 18 times. Did you see the gorilla? You see, in the middle of the people going around and passing the ball, a person in a gorilla suit walks through the video. Then, in one version, they do the moonwalk. I can't do the moonwalk, but just pretend. We're using our imagination. Does the moonwalk out of the frame. Over half the people don't even see the gorilla. They are so focused on counting the number of times the white team passes the ball, they don't see someone dressed in a gorilla suit walking through the frame. Isn't that bananas? Oh, that was a pun I didn't even mean. Dad joke alert. What it shows us, though, is what we focus on, we see. And what we don't focus on, we don't see. I told you guys I had this like old crappy 92 Japanese import diesel truck that blew up on Deerfoot. I was going to say God rest its soul, but no, I hope it dies in hell or something like that. I hated that truck. So I went out shopping for a new vehicle, and between dirt bikes and 4x4ing and the things that I do, I decided on an Xterra. So I bought myself a brand new 07 Xterra. That's what as brand new as I can get, folks. I can't buy new cars. So I had this old Xterra, and as I'm driving it home, magic happened. Everywhere I looked, there were Xterras. Like 10, 20 times the number of Xterras ever. That day, suddenly everyone's driving an Xterra, and I could not believe it. What we focus on, we see, right? I read a really troubling study. Oh, this one rung my bell hard. It said people who have gone through major relationship changes, major breakups, divorces, what we tend to do is we tend to villainize our partner. They were mentally ill. They weren't doing their work. They're a sex addict. The study said, you know what? When you can do that, when you can point the finger at somebody else, you never need to do your own work because you don't see it. What we focus on, we see. The first readers of the Christmas story were focused on a leader to get them the heck out of captivity. Everything we have from them is that's what they're focused on. Are you the leader? No. Are you the leader? No. You the leader? No. You the leader? No. And I know you're thinking, Christmas story, that's the leader, but the leader they're looking for looks nothing like a baby born in a manger that dies 30 years later. That's not what they're looking for at all. They're looking for a military leader, a religious leader, a king, something like that. Even a sage, somebody who can figure out how to navigate through this and get them out. That's what they're focused on. So how do they see the Christmas story is something other than a story of a little kid born who dies 30 years later in a really brutal way that means nothing to us? And I think they do it by seeing the story of Mary that I just read to you. What we focus on, we see. How many of you have seen a legit angel with a flaming sword? You know, if you look, anytime a legit angel with a flaming sword shows up, the Catholic Church will build a cathedral on that spot. Like a big cathedral. Do you know how many big cathedrals there are for flaming angels in the last 2,000 years, over millions and billions of people? Not that many. So how does a lady, we think she's probably about 14, early teen, she'd have been married as soon as she started menstruating. How does a lady see that? And how does she not just ignore it as something crazy and freaky and bananas? You see, in the story of the two teams passing the ball and the gorilla walking through, you have to think to yourself, what else is going to walk through this video so I can see it? That's the very opposite of the skill we have, which is the focus on the one thing. But somehow Mary has the ability to see the gorilla walking through the frame. For her, it's a flaming angel that says, you're hot and you're going to get pregnant and it's all good. It's like somehow she's open to something more than ordinary. My thesis is she's actually looking for something like a flaming angel who shows up on her doorstep. Her story inspires an entire group of people 7 years later to look for something different. To keep their eyes open to the gorilla walking through the frame instead of paying attention to the team passing the ball. Her story inspires them to see something so different that we get a new branch in the Abrahamic religions. We call it Christianity. It's just another version. But it's tied to this moment, and it's inspiration for people 7 years later. So what does that mean to us? We're in the middle of a crisis, yes. We're focused on birthday cake blowing outs and Christmas parties and hugging people and not having to sit far away from somebody when we're dirt biking. That's what we're focused on. What do you think we see? We see that. The final skill as we navigate crises is this. How do we learn to, still see the team passing the ball, but also to see the gorilla in our lives? The more than ordinary. The thing that you didn't expect, the thing that you're not looking for, the thing that you're deliberately not looking for because you don't even know it's there. We're focused on the absence of Christmas parties and friends and family and all that stuff. How do we also see this other part? Because if we want to navigate through this Christmas, if we want to navigate through this COVID, if we want to navigate through any crises, we have two options. Well, at least two options. We can stay focused on what we had before, the past, the ordinary, the way it was, blowing out birthday candles on a birthday cake and then eating it. Or we can let this crisis inspire change in us. Teach us to grow, teach us to develop. That's the gorilla walking through the video. So how do we see those moments of growth? How do we, as people who've had major breakups in their lives, I'm divorced, going through that, how do I not focus just on my partner's crap, but also what's my crap? I was talking to some friends this week. I said, hey, how you doing? I usually go back to where your family's from for Christmas. This year you're not going. Are you okay? It was every year. It was like a couple weeks of their life. Go back to the big Christmas thing. How you doing? They said, you know what? I don't think we're ever going to do that again. We couldn't even see a different way before this year. But now we're going to spend Christmas with each other. There's not the running from family to family to family to family to friend to family, that business. There's not the, emotional issues with siblings and parents and all that crap. We're just going to hang out as a family, have a beautiful Christmas. Without COVID, they would have never seen that gorilla. They would have just kept going back to where their family is year after year, coming back, hating it, going there next year, coming back, hating it. They were able to see a different way. And their lives will never be the same again. I talked with another friend. He's going through a crisis during this crisis. He's got another crisis. Normal for him was shame. Anything goes wrong, it's because I'm a piece of crap. It's that story. It's that normal. He knew that normal so well. But something happened. A gorilla walked through his life, I think maybe 3 or 4 times. But he saw the gorilla. He called me up the other day. He said, hey, can we talk? I said, yeah. He said, I don't think I'm a bad person. I actually think I'm a good father and a good husband and a good human being. He was always looking for shame before. And now he can see something different. So how do we see the gorilla? By definition, our brains are designed to only see what we focus on. How do we see that gorilla? How do we see the new? How do we see that moment where a flaming angel walks in and you go, well, of course a flaming angel is going to walk in. That's just normal. I'm looking for that. I'm going to ask you a few questions before we go to just get your brain going there. Can you throw them up for me? Just the first one. What moment today is beautiful? Maybe yesterday, if today's hasn't gone really well. What moment in your life, even in the midst of this crisis, has been beautiful? We stopped dirt biking this one section. You're overlooking the mountains. We're in the foothills. And I just was struck by how bloody gorgeous snow-covered mountains are. Normally, I don't have time for that crap. What moment is beautiful today? Can you throw the next one up? What can we be grateful for? Just seeing your faces does something in my heart. I can't hug anyone. I can't get close to anyone except for my wife. But just seeing you guys, what can you be grateful for? Sure, we can focus on all the things we don't have, but what's something you can be grateful for? That's looking for the gorilla. Can you throw the next one up? What unexpected things showed up today? How do you see more than ordinary? Where are we growing? Where's their hope? How could our future be better than our past? We can focus on all the things we've missed, all the things we're not going to get. But every crisis opens something up. That's the thing with the crises. It's a crisis, it's like it forces us to see the gorilla that we didn't even want to see. We're kicking and screaming, looking at the gorilla, right? And we figure out, wait a second, actually going back to visit my family, that's never been good for us. Or me and my partner aren't in a good place, and spending all this time together is highlighting that. So we need to do some work together. Because I'm about to kill you. The other day, my sister reached out. She lives in Winnipeg. I live here. My brother lives in Kimberley. We probably see each other in the same physical space, but once every decade or two. Usually it's around a funeral, so we don't have a great time. It's like we come in, see each other, and everyone goes home. She said, let's Zoom together. And yeah, I'm pretty sick of Zoom, but I spent an hour and a half with my brother and sister chatting away. Never done that. We haven't spent that much time talking since we were kids. Wouldn't it happen without this crisis? Where is this crisis building a better future for you? What values do we need to embrace for a better life? I don't know. Anyone do the values workshop with Christopher over there? What a killer question to ask, huh? Thank you. He volunteered his time to teach us all what our values should look like. For all of you who are running at a podcast, I'm currently pointing at him over there. He's the handsome devil over there. What are your values? What have you learned? Do you need to be as busy as you were before this thing kind of locked us all down? Have you learned to self-soothe, to calm yourself, to be able to be alone and spend time with yourself in a way that before you could never have done? That's a good one. How are we good people? Shame is so rampant in our society. What's wrong with my life? I am. I'm what's causing it. Someone mad at me? Of course you're mad at me because I'm a piece of crap. That's shame. I'm the problem. How can we change and look for something good? It blows my mind that people who see that passing ball scenario as I'm a bad person, how do they one day make that shift and say, actually, I'm okay? How beautiful is that? Where are you a good person? What did we accomplish today? I say to the volunteer team, we're here to inspire you all, people here, people on stream, people who hear my voice 3 years from now. We're here to inspire you to make your world a better place. That's what we're doing. We're not playing music. Well, we're doing that. They're working on computers, but that's what we're here to do. That's what they accomplished today. You guys decided to come and go to a place that would inspire you to try and make your world a better place. How beautiful is that? Over this last couple months, we've interacted with our spirituality in different ways, right? Sometimes we can't come, sometimes we have to do it in a different way, but we're starting to look at, say, well, how does spirituality impact my life? For some of you, just coming out today was an accomplishment. Or listening to this. What little piece did we contribute to the world? I see people who are wearing masks that are see-through. I get to see her smile. It's a gift, right? I see people waving to each other, people being conscious of space so that people feel comfortable. I see couples, one of them will reach over and put their hand on the other person's hand. I see kids snuggling up with parents. I see friends reaching out, saying, hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. We can do what we've always done. We can go back to blowing candles out of a birthday cake. Try and forget 2020. Or we can use this crisis to force us, to inspire us to see the more than ordinary, the angel showing up out of nowhere. Whatever that is for you, I'm a good person. I have value. I don't know what your thing is, what the thing you need to see. I wish I did. I could tell it to you then. I know mine. When I read that study about pointing fingers at your ex as a way to not see your stuff, I was like, oh, oops. 10 years later, I'm still pointing fingers. Instead of saying, what can I learn? That crisis was my divorce. This crisis, to explain this to you guys, I would have to go so geeky that you would all be bored out of your gourd. So just trust me. I'm seeing a new way of reading the Christmas story that is blowing my mind. If you want to know about it, buy me a beer. I'll talk your ear off for like 3 hours, but it'll be boring, just telling you. But it's changing everything for me. It's like I've seen a gorilla running through that story. Like it's been running through there the whole time I've read it, and I never saw it. And finally now, it's like, oh, holy shit. Everything's changed. The final piece of the puzzle we want to leave you with navigating COVID Christmas is this. How do you look for the more than ordinary right now? How do we look for a better future? How do we look to grow from this thing? What can we do in our lives that will change us? Where do we see that gorilla? The gorilla that's been dancing through our lives that we never saw, but can be the beginning of something insanely beautiful. We started this series by saying the divine happens in the mess of life, totally. We went the next week and we said, this too shall pass. It's a message of hope, pep talk. This won't be like this forever, folks. Last week, Jeff said, suffering is optional. If you can get that into your head of going, wait a second, I'm making the conditions that are causing my suffering right now, you can change it. It's bananas. And today I'm saying, look for the thing in your life, that thing that's this crisis is bringing up, that can change your future for the better. Don't just focus on the past and what you want to get back to. We can navigate this crisis. 7 years after the Christmas story was written or was set, they navigated their crisis. We're not the first. We won't be the last. But knowing this stuff helps. So I want to leave you with this on this message. Look for the gorilla. Find the moment that will change you into something better for the future. Look for the things to be thankful for, whatever. I don't know what you need to do, but do it. This is an opportunity to grow, not a day or not a year we need to forget. Amen? Okay. I want to see any of you either in person, on the stream, or on podcast for Christmas Eve. If you want to come out, there's still spots left. available. We're only going to allow 70 people in here at a time. We want it nice and safe. Just for context, today we have probably about 35 by the looks of things. Am I close? 35-ish? January 3rd. So, December 27th, no service, no live service. So y'all can't come sit here. We're going to stream a service. We've recorded everything, put it all together. It's crazy. Justin's going to upload it on the 27th at 10:30, just like normal. So sit at home in your PJs. Sit at home in whatever you want to sit at home in. I don't even want to go there. That's going to get a little dirty. But anyways, whatever you sleep in, have at her, enjoy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Final thing I want to say, January 3rd, we start the new year with a new series. I got an email from a relationship expert. I follow all this stuff to kind of curate good stuff for you guys, right? Her message this time was basically, I got nothing. I am so tired of COVID. I am so tired of this. I know I'm supposed to inspire you guys to be better in your relationships, but I literally got nothing. And I laughed. It's like, isn't that kind of the story of our lives right now? I got nothing. Parents who are, working, parenting, teaching, they're their kids' friends, as well as how are parents doing it right now? How are y'all doing it right now? She's giving me this blank look like, don't even bring it up. We're tired. You know, if they said you just got to lock down for 2 weeks and then I guarantee you it's over, we could do it, but it just feels like it's just going on and on and on, and we're tired. I think we're all tired. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, you name it, recharging. And for about half our population, we actually have studies, for people who identify as women who can have children, you have 1 million years of evolution that tells you to not put yourself first. That's how we as a species got here. That's how we beat out the Neanderthals, I think. It's because mothers put their kids first. And so you have an even harder time with this whole concept of self-care. That's why when I say, put your damn mask on first, and I show you the picture of the flight attendant, y'all laugh at me, and you're like, yeah, that's never going to happen. I'm always going to put my mask on my kid first, but here's the problem. We're all exhausted. We have nothing left in the tank. The way we've been doing it isn't working. So how do we get back? If this is your story, I want to invite you to come out starting January 3rd. Okay? If I don't see you at Christmas Eve, have a very Merry Christmas. You're beautiful people. To make the world a better place around you. Thanks very much. Have a great week.